Okay, we're moving along a little further. It's Saturday or Sunday, September 27th. And so far we have given, and we're doing the black on the cab only, by the way, for two reasons. Time, I wanted to shoot something this Sunday, and I did not have enough time through the week to prepare the bed and the cab, meaning sand it. These door jambs took a lot longer than I thought to get them sanded. But so far, so what we did all through the week, we wet sanded all the guide coat off. I started with 400 because my primer was kind of rough, and then I stepped it down, went back over with 600 grit, and we gave it one thin coat of epoxy primer, black. This stuff right here, just ordered it off of eBay. There's a primer and a reducer and an activator. You mix it 1-to-1. It looked pretty good. Sprayed very smooth. I used a 1.5 tip. They recommend a 1.8, but for my clear and my base, I need a 1.5, so I just left 1.5 in there, and it sprayed fine. And from here on out, I'm going to start using the correct tip for my primer, because that will keep it from being so rough and cause me to have to so much time in sanding. But we got that one coat of epoxy primer and one coat of base. We're using some old PPG Deltron. This is the old DBU. I don't think they make it anymore. I think the DBC, which is what I shot in the silver. Yeah, there's some silver right there. The DBC is the more modern stuff, maybe. But I found this on eBay for a decent price. It was still kind of expensive, but for PPG, it was a good price. And I was worried about being old, but the paint looks really good. There was no sediment in the bottom or anything. And for the base coat, all you basically have to do is mix 1-to-1 DR 1185, which is good for the temperature we have right now. It's 68. We're on the low end of that. I think that's good from 65 to 85 degrees, that reducer. When it's hotter, you need a different reducer. When it's colder, I don't know if they make a reducer. I think they do for even colder conditions, but I wouldn't shoot no colder than 60. If it's that cold, I turn on the furnace. But first coat, man, this stuff covers good, which the epoxy primer coat helped. But it covers good. It's just now flashing, and it's turning out good. Not a lot of dirt in it. There's going to be some dirt in lint. And it looked really wet when I sprayed it. I was almost worried it was going to run, but it didn't, thankfully. If I'm going to get a run, I'd rather it be in the clear, because if you get a run in the clear, you can finish spraying and then wet sand it out and buff it later. You get run in the base, you got to stop and sand it out. And you don't get to finish till you fix it, and I don't like that. See a little bit of dirt there. I'm going to get that. It's a garage job. I'm not a professional show car quality painter, but for doing it in a garage, as you can see, I got everything wet. Keeps the dirt down to a minimum. And even in paint booths, the person paints a lot of cars, which if you own one, I'm sure you do, it's going to get dirty after you paint a bunch, so still got to clean it. Now I see a little something up here. It's a bug. He's not stuck. It's best not to mess with something, especially when it's really wet. This is just now tacky. I'll find my glasses, and I'm going to flip him out there with a pair of needle nose. Hang on. Okay, I got him out. Actually, it's already dry to the touch, so it's time for me to spray the second coat. I think 3 coats are going to cover it. At first glance, it looks like it really covered well, but you can see some, well, you can see some spots. I'm trying to find one to show you, but I'm not going to film any spraying. I'd like to, but I'm not really set up for it. I don't want to overspray all over my camera lens. If I ever buy a better or spare camera, I may use this one as a junk camera. That way, in case I mess it up, no harm done. I can still make videos. Okay, so I'm gonna see. I need to cover better in here. Trim will cover it, but I still want it covered. That's a light. Yeah, that's turning out good. Let's spray. All right, there's base coat number 2. I tell you what, if I'd have shot it a little wetter, I could probably clear it right now. 2 coats, in addition to the epoxy primer on the bottom, really covers it well. You can't see through any of the spots where I had to, like on the corners where you hit metal when you do your final sanding. But I'm going to give it one more. This roof is really difficult to reach. I'm only 5'7", and this is a pretty tall truck, and even though it's sitting on the ground, as you can see, there's a dry spot in the middle. It might be just because of the lights, the way the light's shining on it, and when you get the clear on it, maybe it'll cover up. But I'm gonna give it one last coat, and one spot right there, I'm not gonna fix it. That is where it dripped off my cup. A little mistake I made, but as tall as this truck is, who's gonna get up there and look for that? It's gonna look fine. Like I said, it's not gonna be perfect. Got little pieces of dirt here and there in the base, which I don't know if you'll be able to see them through the clear. Maybe you will, but I do plan on probably, most likely, having to wet sand the clear and buff it after it's all done. See a little bit of sandy marks here and there, but right there's some scratches I neglected to get. I could probably scuff that off right now and try to cover that up. I may try to do that. That one's pretty obvious. I may try to fix that. I think it's already set up enough where I think I can sand it. Because I did that on the silver. You can fix little spots like that you catch after it flashes, and you got plenty of time. I think it's 24 hours before you would have to wet sand the whole thing, or color sand, to call it, and spray the clear. Now, if I wanted to be perfect, I would be color sanding it, and I want it to look as good as I can get it. But still, this is going to be a truck to pull my trailer with, not anything for show, or not like I would want a classic car to look or anything. So I'm letting some things slide, and other things I won't. So I'm going to attempt to sand that out. And I'm going to give it a heavy third coat. What I'll do after I sand that little scratch out, the first place I'll shoot is that to cover it up. Then I'll go back to the other side of the truck and shoot it all, and then go over that again. And I think we'll be good there. All right, coat number 3. Then we do our clear. Okay, there's coat number 3. Turned out pretty good. I shot it heavier on the roof, but it did kind of run out while I was trying to do that. Actually, I did do a complete third coat, of course, but then I tried to go back over the roof with what was left. And the other side, you can see it's shot a little heavier than this. But I'm going to give it probably at least a good half hour to flash, maybe a little longer, maybe an hour. And hopefully it all kind of blend in together. And I'm thinking, if I remember right, I've seen this before, and once you put the clear over it, it kind of covers that up. So, well, let's see what it looks like. Luckily, it's the roof up high. I think it's going to look fine. So, if not, we'll learn a lesson. And little hairs and pieces of lint here and there. If I wanted to be perfect, I would be color sanding it. And then, of course, after I cleared it, I would get hair in it, and I would have to wet sand it and buff it again. But we're going to see what it looks like. I think once you get the clear on it and you sand it down smooth and buff it, any kind of little imperfections like dirt or lint that got in it kind of get covered up. That's what I'm hoping for. One thing happened here. I don't know if some water dripped on it or I hit it with a hose. Looks like I hit it with a hose. No moisture is coming out of my coupler on my air gun, or spray gun rather. So, yeah, looks glossy on the corners. I think a lot of it's got through the way the lights hit. You'd be surprised how if you see things you don't like underneath fluorescent light, especially when a fluorescent light is only less than 2 foot away, And once it's done, you pull it out in the sun. You'll be really surprised how you don't see a lot of things that you saw under those lights. So, yeah, I think I'm going to be happy with it. For as long as it's been looking as awful as it has, I'm just glad to see something on it. And anything I'm not happy with, we will work with a little bit at a time after it's together. And I think it's going to turn out good. I do like this paint. I'm a fan of PPG paint now. See some guys on YouTube talk about it. I've always used cheaper paints, and they turned out okay. The Torino was cheap paint. Black 64 Fairlane was cheap paint. Well, they turned out okay. I mean, none of my jobs are show car, but I do them all in a garage. But this here, and this, I love the way it covers, and this laid down pretty darn smooth. So we're going to shoot 3 coats of clear. Same stuff we used on the silver. There's 4 parts of this, 1 part of hardener. And we have a different spray tip. We'll see if it shoots a little wetter this time. Hopefully it will. If not, wet sand and buff. Got to do it anyway. There's a big old wasp right there. Mud dauber. But, yeah, I'm just so glad to see some color on this thing. Show you what it looks like after I shoot the clear, then I'll probably shoot another little. The last part of this video will be after I take the tape off of it. Okay, 3rd coat is on. Probably about an hour and a half. After I shot it, it's already, you can already touch it. Not hard, of course, but I'm happy with it. It turned out nice. I mean, like I said, a little bit of dirt, but this is the smoothest clear coat I ever shot, and probably 2 reasons for it. We got stink bugs. I had a few stink bugs land on it while I was shooting it. I was able to, luckily it was on. Wow, they really like this paint. There's another one. Luckily they was on it after each coat had tacked up, and I was able to blow them off with air. But yes, it turned out slick. And like I said, I was getting ready to say before I got sidetracked by a stink bug. 2 reasons. Paints have come a long way, and this is really, I think this is a discontinued, the DBU, the base coat, but the clear coat is pretty much what they still use now. But that, and like I said, when I shot the clear on the silver, I told you it looked dry and it was rough, and it's going to need to be buffed, wet sanded and buffed. But I had a 1.3 tip in my gun. It's a DeBelvis finish line, which reminds me, I still need to drain the clear out of it and clean it out. But it came with a 1.3 tip, and the directions for the clear coat said 1.3 to 1.5. So I switched to a 1.5, and that just made a huge difference, because no matter how wet I attempted to shoot it on this, I just could not get it to look slick like this turned out. This turned out nice. Only thing that made me mad and went wrong, but I can fix it, no reason to panic. I rubbed, when I was shooting the roof, I rubbed my pants on there. Now that would not have happened if something else had not happened. It's kind of a domino effect, things going wrong. I'd already shot the roof on this side, and I was going to go around to the other side, get up on my stair, on my footstep there, which I got another one on the other side. I was going to do the other side, and when I came down, I caught my air hose on the top of the gun cup. The lid came off, and it spilt all over my arm. Thankfully not on the truck, but all over my arm. And that stuff is kind of toxic on your skin. That's why you're supposed to wear rubber gloves and a hood, which I do, and long sleeves, or a paint suit. But anyway, I had to mix up some more paint, and what I was doing was, and I take into account everything was still wet, I climbed up on top, and I've seen a few spray marks where I got my overlap of the spray pattern wrong. So I thought, well, I'm going to take what's left in this paint, because I mixed up too much with the clear coat, and I figured, well, I'll correct that. And this was still tacky, and I had loose-fitting sweatpants, and they touched it. I felt them stick to it, but like I said, don't panic. There's nothing you can do about it while it's wet. just keep going. And that's what I did. And out in the sun, that probably won't look that bad, but that will be no problem to scuff up with some 1500, followed up with 2000 or 3000. Hit it with a buffer, just buff this whole thing, which I probably will buff the whole truck. But as slick as this black looks, I probably would not have buffed it if I hadn't have done that. At least not the black. The silver I would have, because that clear coat turned out rough. But I like it. It turned out nice. Other than that, but you know, you're in a small garage. I don't paint a lot of vehicles, so I haven't seen a lot of scenarios. And this is not an easy one to paint. I mean, it's tall. It's hard to reach. I'm a kind of a short guy anyway, so look at all the stink bugs. See if I can get up here and get a good view of that roof. And I learned quite a few things shooting this one. You can see some spray marks in the middle, and I bet you out in the sun that will not look nowhere near as bad. Actually, if you just change the angle, you can see that the fluorescent lights really magnify anything that's not perfect. So now that I can touch it, it's not, like I said, it's not hard. I could dig my fingernail in it. I'm going to start untaping. I always like to remove tape as quick as possible because it's less likely to take off any paint. And I do have some green tape directly on top of my silver here. So I'm going to start removing that, and we'll see how it looks. Look, hopefully none of it bled through. It won't matter if it did. I could fix it if it did it too much, and there's going to be a red and white tape stripe that goes across here. Alright, let's see how it looks. Yeah, not bad. I used the green tape. I think it's the stuff that's easy on the paint when you stick it to it. It's kind of best for it straight off if you can. Oh yeah, I like the way that comes up. I like the way that black and silver contrast. And it's going to look good with a red stripe. You can see I actually, when I wet sanded the rest of the truck down, I hit that a little bit. No big deal. That silver's going to definitely get buffed anyway. But I like the way the black and silver's look. I think that stripe in the middle look even better. I was planning to actually paint the red stripe. Still might do it, I don't know. That's got to be done when the whole truck's together. Matter of fact, a lot of guys who do two-tones, a lot of experienced painters, which I am not, will tell you, and I'm sure they're right, will tell you, the only way you can really make it look right, get everything lined up right, is to have the whole vehicle assembled. But I chose to paint this one disassembled for several reasons. Room, and from the last time this truck got painted, it had a lot of nasty looking overspray up inside the jams, and I just like the idea of getting all this painted, and then painting the rest of the parts and putting it together, because there's no overspray up in the jams, which you're supposed to be able to tape it off. A lot of times, every time I've taped one off like that, I've usually done the jams first on assembled vehicles I painted, and I always got overspray in there though. But look at that, I like that. So yeah, you see quite a bit of dirt when that light shines on it. But like I said, after we get together, I know I'm repeating myself because I'm excited when things turn out good. But when I get it all together, I'll wet sand it and buff it. That's a nice looking black. That's a GM black. I remember when I bought it off eBay. It's Deltron Universal Coat DBU. I'm not sure if they still make DBU, but yeah, I bought 2 gallons of that off eBay, and it was like $300 a piece. But I think if you order straight off of straight from PPG, it's more than that. But it's expensive paint, but I think it's worth it because it covered in 2 coats. It covered good. The base did, and it's clear. I could have gotten by with 2 coats, but I knew I'd probably be wet sanding, so I figured I'd give it a third. I like the looks of that. So I'm gonna go ahead and unveil the rest of it before the paint sets up too hard. That's the last time I gotta do any taping and covering of this cab, because the next thing I'm gonna do, sorry about that. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get this bed ready to shoot the black. Hopefully I can do that through the week. I have trouble finding time throughout the week, but now that grass seed cutting season is almost over, I think I'm gonna have more time to get out here through the week. I'm hoping to have the bed ready and maybe the underside of the hood. We'll shoot the black on the bed and the underside of the hood, and then I can get the bed on the truck. I need to get the wheels and tires on it, so. Alright, there it is, all untaped. Everything went pretty well as far as peeling the tape off here. It didn't take no paint off with it. Only thing that went wrong was right there at my ID tag, which is a sticker and I don't like, and there's nothing I can do about it. I didn't pull my tape straight off. I did here, and then it pulled off an angle and took some tape, but I can touch that up. I don't like these stickers, but I should have removed these. You could probably get them new. ID tag, I don't know if you can get a new ID tag or not. It would be nice if I could have just got rid of those, painted it, and put a new tag on top. But I like the old style, old metal ones. You can paint them, and they look fine. But other than that, yeah, everything looks pretty good. A few little spots of overspray up in the door jamb. That's not going to show. But as you can see, as it's curing, it's flowing out even smoother. Roof, I see a couple spray marks in there that would buff out, wet sand and buff out. Not sure when I'm going to get around to doing that, because I'm mostly focused on getting the rest of the parts painted, and that way I can spend the cold parts of the winter doing assembly here. But once I paint the bed, I do want to go ahead and get that on before I do painting of the doors and fenders and everything else. So that way I'll have some room, and I could probably wet sand and hand rub that out. Shame that happened, because this black looks good enough where I probably wouldn't have buffed it, at least for a while. And as far as buffing it, that's something you can do. I can do later on, next summer. After it's all together and running on the road, you can take one panel at a time, pick a Sunday afternoon, and just do that. That way you don't wear yourself out buffing a whole big truck. And the rest of it looks good enough to where it don't matter until you get it all done. But just want to do a walk around. Got a little bit of bleed through there. That will wet sand and buff. I could hand rub that out. But I'm liking the way that turned out, and I can't wait to get some other parts painted and start bolting pieces on this thing. Once you get everything painted, that's when you get motivated. You start liking what you see, and you start putting it together. The assembly is fun. It's the fun part. But as you can see, I got a lot of work to do. I got to put my windows back in. I think I need to order new gaskets for the side. I'm going to save all the rubber I can. The rubber that went around here is still in good shape. I'm just going to clean it up, because aftermarket rubber never fits that well. We want to back up, and you can see a spray mark there. Don't matter. It's going to be between the bed and the cab. But I can't believe I shot it that wet with no runs. I really like that clear coat. Now I'm going to have to order some more. Now I have, I'm almost out of hardener. I'm afraid to use the other hardener because it's for 90 degrees, 95 degrees and up. So I'm going to have to order some more hardener. I do have another can of DC 4000. But I guess it'll be okay if I use the 4,000 on other pieces, but I use 3,000 on this. We'll see. Yeah, we got about that much of it in there. Anyway, there's what it looks like, and I think this is a pretty productive weekend. And thanks for watching.